Before we begin, this story is not for the faint of heart. What lies inside the forgotten house has haunted generations. Ready? Let's begin. In the quiet, mist-covered village of Graymore, time seemed to have stopped decades ago. The roads were lined with cobblestone, the air smelled of old pine and damp earth, and the only sound at night was the distant howling of the wind sweeping through the ancient trees. It was a place people rarely visited and locals rarely left. Robert Finch, a curious historian obsessed with forgotten legends, arrived in Graymore with a notebook full of rumors, tales of a lantern keeper who haunted the abandoned mansion at the edge of the forest. The villagers gave him uneasy glances, whispering under their breath when he asked about the house. An old shopkeeper finally warned him, "That place isn't abandoned. It's asleep. Don't be the one to wake it." Despite their warnings, Robert was drawn to the house, an old manor wrapped in vines and shadow. Locals said no one who stepped inside ever came back the same. Some said they saw flickering lights at the windows, others swore they heard whispers coming from the attic. But Robert wasn't afraid. He believed the story of the lantern keeper was just that, a story. That night, under a half-moon sky, he set off toward the mansion with only a flashlight and a camera. As he approached, the cold grew heavier, thicker, as if the air itself resisted him, and then he saw it, a faint, glowing lantern swaying behind the broken window. The house was watching. That was the beginning of something he could never escape. Robert stepped through the rusted gate, its hinges groaning like a warning sign from the past. The air grew colder with every step toward the door. Musk crept over the walls, the wood beneath it rotting and soft. The manor loomed like a corpse left to decay, its windows staring back at him like hollow, watching eyes. With a hesitant hand, he pushed open the heavy door. It didn't creak, it moaned. Inside, the air was thick with dust and age. Spiderwebs clung to every corner, and the furniture lay covered under great, moth-eaten sheets. The house smelled of mold, old firewood, and something metallic, like blood long dried into the floorboards. As Robert explored, he found things that disturbed him: portraits on the walls with the faces scratched out, clocks that ticked in reverse, and children's toys set in perfect formation across the living room floor, untouched for what looked like 100 years. Then came the sounds, faint at first, whispers, soft, unintelligible voices that slithered through the walls. They weren't coming from outside, they were coming from beneath. He followed them down into the basement, every step echoing like a scream in the silence. The door at the bottom was sealed with chains, but something was behind it, breathing. Robert turned to leave, only to find his flashlight flickering, and then it went out. The house was dark now, silent, but the whispers, they were louder. And then he saw it, the faint orange glow of a lantern at the top of the stairs. Moving on its own, the lantern keeper had awakened. Robert's breath caught in his throat as the soft orange glow descended the stairs, one step at a time. The wooden planks creaked under the invisible weight. The lantern's glass flickered with flame, but there was no hand holding it, no figure behind it. Yet the light moved as if guided by something unseen. Suddenly, the chains on the cellar door began to rattle. A loud, metallic clang echoed through the basement, shaking the walls as if the house itself groaned in pain. Then, a cold wind surged through the air, impossibly cold for a sealed basement, snuffing out the lantern's glow in an instant. Darkness swallowed everything. Then, a whisper, loud and clear this time. "You were not supposed to return." A tall, shadowy figure slowly materialized from the blackness. It wore a long, tattered cloak, and from its hood, two pale white eyes glowed faintly, like dying embers. In one skeletal hand, it now held the lantern. In the other, a rusted key, stained dark with age. Robert couldn't move. He couldn't speak. The figure raised the lantern, and the room erupted into an illusion of the past. Children laughing. Then screaming, a fire raging through the house, the townspeople holding torches and shouting curses, the lantern keeper, standing silently as the flames consumed his family. His eyes never blinking, the vision vanished, the room was quiet again. The keeper spoke once more. "You carry their blood, and their sins." Robert was thrown backward by an unseen force, landing hard on the basement floor. His flashlight blinked back on, but the keeper was gone, only the lantern remained, gently rocking in place, as if waiting for him. As Robert lay dazed on the basement floor, heart racing, a sudden warmth pulsed through the rusted lantern. Its glass shimmered with eerie symbols that hadn't been there before, ancient markings, glowing faintly in red. The whispering voices returned, now louder, more desperate. As if hundreds of trapped souls cried out at once, the basement walls began to bleed shadow. They pulsed and twisted like they were alive. Memories embedded in the wood and stone, screams of betrayal, sacrifice, and vengeance echoing around him. Then Robert saw it, a hidden door behind the furnace creaked open on its own. Inside was a small room, at its center, a decayed altar, candles still flickering around a book made of human skin. Beside it lay a faded photograph of a family, his family, and the lantern keeper was in it. With trembling hands, Robert picked up the book. Its pages turned by themselves, landing on a ritual, the same one that had cursed the keeper's bloodline. Suddenly, the keeper's voice boomed behind him. "Finish it, or become one of us." Robert was given a choice, and the ritual, or carry the curse. His hands moved on instinct. He read the final lines aloud. The candles blew out, a wind howled, and the keeper screamed. The shadows recoiled violently, pulling the figure of the keeper into the book. The altar cracked in half. The walls stopped pulsing. Silence. The house, for the first time in a century, felt still. Robert stumbled outside. Dawn was breaking. The sky bled soft orange across the horizon, and the house behind him finally crumbled, swallowed by the earth, as if it had never existed. But in his hand, the lantern remained, still warm, still glowing, and as Robert walked away, the faintest voice echoed from it. "The keeper always returns." How did you like the horror tale? For more terrifying stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with fellow horror lovers. Your support keeps the darkness alive.